So tukishow anytime huyu jamaa ataona kama ametudefeat. Other things nimeona ni SR wameincrease ile salary increment, imeshow that hawataki kutusikiza and that we should feel intimidated, that we relent and not be concerned with the government again. So sign of relenting, we will not make this thing work. Strategize as we get in streets. To get in streets, Thursday mtokee kwa streets, mwende maandamano, and make sure that the person near you is your friend. Don't come near a goon, and if you see one, tell your friend, make sure mmemwattack and aseme totally mwenye amewafund na mwenye anawaambia wakuje waharibu our peaceful demonstration. Another thing ni huyu prezo akikam kwa space, tunataka kumwambia that we need an IBC restructure in full, cause our MPs walikuwa ignorant that wakino that hakuna IBC and no one will be able to recall them, because the IBC is no longer there and no one is able to do the election. So prezo akikama hapa, kitu ya kwanza, we need IBC. We recall the MPs that voted yes. Kitu ingine ni about corruption. Corruption nimesikia mkisema na ni ukweli, judiciary imekuwa na corruption most. Unapata MP, unapata CS amepatikana na scandal, anachukuliwa anapeleka kwa court. After mpeleka kwa court, ana corrupt the judges, the lawyers wenye ako nao. The next day ameiba millions of money. The next day and the next thing the judge tells us, anatuambia that huyu jamaa hawana evidence ya kutosha, anatolewa fine ya 10k ilhali aliiba 10 millions and millions and millions and millions of money. Hizo scandals zinapaswa kuwa followed on. Na huyu president hakuna day ashaisema about corruption, anything about corruption. He hasn't spoken anything. So that means that he's among the corrupt people in the government, hiyo executive yake. So wase tutokee kwa streets and Ruto must go. Viva Gen Z.
Cox.
Hello. What I wanted to say, there is a problem everybody is having, na naona nyote mnasema hatufai kuacha, wengine wanasema tunafaa kuacha. I have no problem, people watu wanataka kuacha, wachini waache, but for sisi tunataka kuendelea na maandamano. I think yes.
That our nation is pleading for change. The youthful generation of this country have led the way into the light. We owe them a huge debt of gratitude. For a long time, fellow countrymen, after deep soul searching, I have come to the profound realization that our nation is pleading for change. The youthful generation of this country have led the way into the light. We owe them a huge debt of gratitude. For a long time, our nation has been plagued by corruption, plunder of state resources, wasteful expenditure, eroded ethics in public and private sector, negative ethnicity, desecration of places of worship, and dreams of us falling in love again in a new country called Kenya. For this reason, I have decided to lead the way. Fellow countrymen, before I declare the raft of measures to be undertaken by my government in the pursuit of a better tomorrow, I want to remember the heroes who have lost their lives in this struggle. I condole with your families. I cannot pretend to know how you are feeling, but I want you to know that I am truly sorry. I may not be able to restore the lives of your dear departed, but I have made a committed resolve to remember them as heroes of Kenya and confer state honors upon them, as is my power under the Constitution. Be assured that the government of Kenya shall bear the cost of a state burial for each of them, and the families will also be compensated accordingly. Ladies and gentlemen, at a moment like this, we must make a decision to move forward or to look backwards. It is written in the story of a prolific writer, Goro Wakamau, a true son of this land, that we should never cry when the sun goes down, for the tears will not let us see the stars. As we look forward, I charge all of you to walk with me in this journey and be my accountability partners as I serve you as your president. Accordingly, I have made the following reforms to my government effective immediately. 1. By the power delegated to me by the people of Kenya under Article 152 of the Constitution, I hereby dismiss all cabinet secretaries serving in my government. They shall cease to hold office forthwith. I will appoint a new cabinet within 14 days to help me in the priority business of our country. 2. Further to the foregoing, I shall within 7 days appoint a non-partisan multi-sector committee to vet all public officers serving in senior positions in the executive to determine their suitability to continue to hold office and to draw salaries from the national wallet. I shall conduct this radical surgery to root out all officers that have normalized corruption, glorified incompetence, and made a mockery of public service. This shall apply to all principal secretaries, head of parastatals, presidential advisors, state house staff, among others. As a leader of the Kenya Kwanza coalition of parties, I have summoned a parliamentary group meeting on Wednesday, 3rd of July, to discuss a reorganization of our parliamentary leadership in a manner that reflects the aspirations of the people of Kenya. I hope that upon resumption of Parliament, the first order of business should be to constitute the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to facilitate democratic processes that may ensue. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important that we appreciate the fact that our Constitution is not perfect. It requires serious reform to achieve a higher level of accountability and good governance. For example, I find it obnoxious that Article 104 requires Parliament to make a law that prescribes the process of recall of a member of Parliament. This is something that we must revisit. Upon constitution of the IEBC, we shall propose a referendum process to re-examine the Constitution for it to reflect our national realities and aspirations as a people. I urge you, my fellow countrymen, to reason with me on practical steps that can be taken in the pursuit of shared prosperity. To spur economic growth in our motherland, I have made the following executive orders. 1. I am this evening instructing the Governor of Central Bank to within 21 days develop a mechanism where small, medium enterprises, SMEs, can borrow business loans from banks at a special interest rate of 8% to 10%, which will enable business expansion and job creation for our youth. I am this evening instructing the Director General of the Energy Petroleum Regulatory Authority, EPRA, to immediately prioritize issuance of licenses to any person who wants to generate affordable electricity for Kenyans. The authority should develop comprehensive regulations to open up the energy market for investment. This will help lower the cost of manufacturing and spark growth in the manufacturing sector, thus creating jobs for our youth. Fellow countrymen, following 2 weeks of protests by the Kenyan people, it is worth noting that there are police officers that conducted themselves in a manner that betrays their oath, violates the Constitution, the Police Service Act, and the police standing orders. I therefore charge the Independent Police Oversight Authority to speed up investigations into such cases for immediate action. In the intervening period, I have accepted the resignation of the Inspector General, Mr. Japheth Koome, who has written to me citing personal reasons. The nation is grateful to his service. I have forthwith recalled the Deputy Inspector General Nur Gabo, who is on a UN mission in Haiti, to report back to office and act as Inspector General until a substantive office holder is appointed. In the coming weeks, I will announce more measures to be undertaken by my government in furtherance of radical reforms that are in pursuit of our shared prosperity. Thank you, good people. I won't be taking any questions today. Asante sana.
Sasa hiyo ndio hasara yake. So kumaanisha pesa ya CSS out. Pesa ya kuajiri walimu out. Pesa ya hii UHC out. Pesa ya stima, si mimi nilikuwa nimeweka kwa Kenya, mimi Makilapi 14.5 trillion kwa budget yetu ya Kenya, divided by 290 constituencies. Kila constituency ilikuwa napata 50 million. Na I am sure, hata sasa ukiangalia kwa notes yangu, nimeweka stima hapa inaitwa Kaimukul sublocation. Na Kaptum pale stima haiko imefika. Na huyu Simon ndiye alipatia majina yote. Sasa tumewacha rais na deni nipo 1 trillion. Tayari deni ambayo Uhuru Kenyatta aliwacha ilikuwa.
Now, let's revisit our top stories. And 6 politicians, a businessman, and 2 non-governmental organizations are on the radar of state intelligence and security agencies following suspicion of their involvement in fueling ongoing anti-government protests. These suspects, according to a high-level intelligence brief seen by the nation, are made up of 3 politicians from Nairobi, 2 politicians from Central Kenya, 1 politician from Rift Valley, a businessman from Rift Valley, a local NGO, and an international one. The suspects are accused of doing various things, including financing some protesters, mobilizing youth from slum areas, and giving them cash handouts as they're directing them to infiltrate the peaceful protests and turn them violent. They're also accused of providing logistical support, such as transporting the hired individuals to demonstrate epicenters, such as the central business districts of major cities. The first politician from Nairobi is accused of mobilizing and hiring goons from Kibera, Mathare, and Babadogo areas. The second politician from the capital city has allegedly been holding night meetings to plan for the demonstrations. The Rift Valley-based counterpart has been fingered for allegedly meeting youth at his house in Nairobi to oil the anti-government protests. The brief, seen by the nation, had names of the key suspects, which we have, however, withheld for legal reasons. The security brief also
it would be really good for your movement, so I'm thinking that for tomorrow would be a good idea.
Failure to obtain
I also have some tea on Meg Whitman, but first, any replies? I also have some tea on Meg Whitman, the US ambassador to Kenya, because I heard you also like tea.
Coordination of the protests. But so far,
okay, Gregor, thank you very much. Those are very good. I know the people who are going for the demonstrations are going through a lot of challenges when it comes to how to maneuver the paid goons and all that. So thank you. Those are very good pointers and are very good suggestions. I think we need to hear from Delinquent. I don't know whether he's going to respond to you, and then we'll have Mizani come after that. Thanks a lot, Gregor. And I've seen the article. I'll read it later when you're done with the space. Delinquent, you have the mic.
Yeah, thank you. So I just want to respond to something I heard McKenna say before about the MPs when they get into offices, they basically, or the regime that gets into the office, they always seek to reward their friends and stuff like that. But you see, that's the nature of politics, especially in Kenya. I think for a very long time, doubts from the MPs and whatnot. So, these things you have to look at them, how they arise. So let's say an MP is coming today, and these ones mostly they do them in the villages. So you hear the MP is coming to give out what? Give out unga, maize flour, or other foodstuffs. And then they come, you hear them talk, and then they give you 2 kg of unga. You're given a bar of soap, and then you are told you're given some 50 shillings, and you're told to go on your way. So that is what we are dealing with. The security brief now that is not something that is easy to knock out if we are being realistic. But what I am really advocating for, and this is something that can work. But Ruto can tell us that he knows nothing about the 7.7 trillion that Uhuru borrowed. He was the biggest defender when it came to the euro. Ouko wanted to go akashtua Uhuru. So those are things that are there. So how do we proceed? Do we allow the politicians, to come and help us? And I've heard that being floated around. The politicians know their duty, and then they have their corner. They can help us, yes. Help us how? Let's say those draconian amendments that are floating around in Parliament. They recently quietly withdrew the land amendment. The land amendment that they were trying to, basically change the ownership of certain pieces of land. And once they do that, it's just a matter of time before they come for the whole thing. So then the other issue, I think Greg tried to touch on it about Meg Whitman. Meg Whitman is not the first rogue ambassador we've seen from the United States. And people who are there will remember Newton Kulundu when he was then the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and how he addressed the then Ambassador Ranbaga. So dealing with Americans is something that we've been there before, an overbearing hand, And me, the biggest question I'm asking is whether Meg Whitman has other interests in this country other than that is prescribed in the her job description, which is basically to look after the interest of the United States. Well, for the most part, maybe she's doing that. But if you look at the entire scenario, you ask yourself, is the interest of the United States working in our best interest in some areas? I know that for a very long time, and this one I've been saying, that Kenya has always been a pro-United States country for the longest. And you ask around, people have very favorable views, But people are not also stupid, and people are getting to get this information that was either locked away, or we couldn't access because of the technological challenges, or just because we didn't have it. But the Kenya of now is a very, very different Kenya, and they can bet that they are going to be seeing this more and more, people challenging the American position, especially in our Kenya, in our local politics. challenging some of the things that they want to do, especially something that I know is going to raise a lot of
the suspects are accused of doing various things, including financing some protesters,
when they
mobilizing
now
youth from
start
slum areas and giving them cash handouts,
privatize some of those companies that they need to privatize. And this I know is one of the ways they're going to use to get that money to plug the deficit. You know? Seed company, those are some things that we really need to talk about at length. And then there's the issue of education, where we see that the current generation is being dumped down, and they're being dumped down in ways that
for the demonstrations.
You can't believe Tunini, because
been fingered for allegedly meeting youth at his
Delinquent, we've lost you.
Sorry?
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, so if you look at the college education, my 4-year college, I think I paid 160,000. Okay, in fees, because it was 40 a year. Okay, right now, what are they being told? You get into your first year, and first semester you part with 100,000, second year 100,000. Almost for 1 year, you have covered the 4 years that we took, and people are quiet on that, because they came in with things like loans. They say there would be government help that will be pegged on the economic status. We all know those are going to go away, which is going to directly translate into a lot of people not being able to join universities, so that you have a lot of people concentrated in the Juakali sector and all these menial work. Because when you do that, then you don't have a lot of time to question the government. You have a lot to deal with. So those are some of the issues that are coming to the fore that we need also to have a great deal of conversation about. Back to you, Miriam.
Thank you. I do agree. And before Mizani comes in, would you like a direct answer to your question from Gregor first?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so also because
and then just a quick one. If anyone wants to be next in line to speak, just raise your hand so that I don't skip you. I'm not going to really go by the order that you've come up to the speaker panel. I want people who are ready to speak. So if you're ready, just raise your hand. Gregor, proceed.
Thank you. So yeah, about Meg Whitman, who was also mentioned by Delinquent. I looked up her profile on Wikipedia. It's very interesting. She's generally Republican Party aligned, U.S. business executive. She has been with Goldman Sachs from 2001 to 2002, resigned after some minor scandal. She was the CEO of PayPal, so again, pretty influential businesswoman.
Just a moment, but Gregor, I think it's good to, you see, if we take it into the U.S. politics, I don't think we can be able to sort that out. But what Delinquent, I believe, asked you is, do you believe or do you have any information that would that would show? Sorry, do you have any information that would prove that she's here for a different or for personal interest, a different agenda? Is that Delinquent? Is that what?
Well, she involvement in fueling ongoing anti-government protests.
She's certainly here to loot Kenya and Kenyans together with Ruto, or the Ruto regime, and on behalf of the US empire. That's what she's certainly here for. Certainly, because it always works the same way also. Like first there is debt, and then the country can't pay the debt, and then the looting is being done properly.
Okay, fine, got that.
So it's the same plan.
Okay, great. So thank you. Thanks for that. Let's hear from Mizani.
They're also accused of providing logistical
Thank you,
support,
Mariam,
such as
and
transporting
greetings to everybody that is tuned in for hosting the space. We appreciate. Reason why I picked the mic is because I have quite an interesting interest in some of the issues Gregor mentioned, and specifically on what is Vienna's position on what is happening in Kenya. He's mentioned he's been to the Palestine war and has been able to report quite a number of what has happened there. So if you switch back to Kenya and looking at the statement that was issued by the EU representation, what is the specific position of Vienna? And if we are talking about corruption as one of the endemic issues that is facing Kenya, you heard Shah mention the geopolitics and how they play along. So if Europe tends to benefit from the African resources, why would they be silent about what is happening in Kenya, specifically now, such that people are demanding for a system, especially the taxation system, that is in favor of the populace? What is Vienna's position from where you sit? Thank you.
You're welcome. So official Austrian government's position is shit on Israel, Palestine. They are US totally, so that the government is conservative green, conservative dominated. Is anyone speaking in the background?
Sorry,
the mic is open. Maybe
I've muted their mic. You can proceed.
Okay. So conservative green government. Conservatives in the West are always on the side of the 1%. And they are, the despicable Israel toadies, despicable US toadies. I do not follow mainstream media because it's mainly just propaganda. It's no different here in Austria. I have my alternative sources, including many well-informed people and alternative media outlets and journalists on Twitter. So I can't quite tell you what their position is, but it will almost certainly not be pro 99%. It will almost certainly be some US toady position or some lip service about, Ruto needs to adhere to the law. But I mean, Austria in general is not an international player. Austria never was a colonial power in Africa, contrary to Germany. So Austria doesn't have much interest in Kenya in general. So it's also pretty irrelevant. But they are disgusting US toadies and disgusting Israel toadies, and
So in short, what you're saying is, irrespective of the consequences of the violence that has happened through the protest, we have seen police kill Kenyans. We have seen Kenyans get killed by the government. And to the extent of it that the international community has made a statement that does not really take a serious position. So in short, Kenyans are on their own and we shouldn't be listening to you.
In Nairobi to oil the anti-government.
There may be some exceptions in Europe. I mean, Europe is not as bad as the United States in general, although Europe is definitely in the sphere of influence of the US empire, and it would be really great if the EU and Europe got out of that, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
They're seeking to infiltrate
but I mean, generally, Europe generally follows the lead of the United States. United States tries to plunder Kenya, so Europe, also as colonial powers, their position won't be that much different, but there may be exceptions, but generally not so great,
has been fingered for effecting the brazen abductions.
Are you satisfied
on these developments on tomorrow's?
Yeah, I'm satisfied. The point that I was trying to establish is that the point we are in as a country, we cannot focus on external help to solve our issues because they are the biggest profiteers of the skirmishes that are happening in the country. I don't want to call them skirmishes, but I want to call it the instability that is happening in the country. And why I also figured out that this is the issue. You see that Vienna has a representation in Kenya, which is also in charge of Burundi, Comoros, Rwanda, and DRC. And if you look at that region, which is within the East African region, the instability in that region should concern all of us. But as it is, we need to go back and ask ourselves, even if we are calling to go on those streets and plunder into on what we'll call or resemble as anarchy, we must be able to realize that the honors are on us to actually fix this country. we cannot expect our foreign, should I call them foreign allies to come in and help us, because at the end of the day, they are the ones creating the mess in our country. So let us be a bit skeptical and take some of those advices with a pinch of salt. That's my position. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mizani. I do agree with you, and well noted. Hi, Mkenya.
So as an FYI, I obviously do not represent the position of the...
Gregor, sorry. We have a lot of people who've not had, who've not spoken. I think we respect Mizani's submission. He has a point, so I do agree with him. Mkenya, as you're preparing to speak, we have Vex and then 254. If anyone wants to speak, please just raise your hand. And Mkenya, you can jump in anytime.
Okay, I think I'm somewhere doing God knows what, but I'll jump in. I'm listening in. I think I notified you, so I don't know whether I'm audible, but let me hope I am.
Sawa, it's okay.
Okay.
So Vex, you have the mic.
Hello. Hello. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good. I don't know